So once you have Mathcad open, you'll notice that there's kind of a space here in the center that's gridded much like engineering paper. So it's kind of going to be your working area. What I'd like you to do when you first get started is come up here in the header, so just double click on it to activate, and then I want you to put your name, the class, University of Alaska Fairbanks, and the date. So if you just come up here to the top left and choose text box, that'll insert a text box. You can drag and drop and move this around. So we'll go ahead and put my name in here, CE 405 Highway Engineering, and the University of Alaska Fairbanks. So you can resize this as well. So just drag it out here so they're each on a line. We'll add another text box, bring it over here to the top right hand side, and I'll put in today's date. And then you can format your text boxes too if you come up here to the very top and navigate to the text formatting area. I'm just going to right hand align that since it's on the right, make it look a little cleaner. Okay, so now down here in the working space, this is where you're going to be putting your variables, your equations, so on and so forth. So if we start off with, say, stopping site distance, for example, you're going to want your givens and your knowns to be above whichever equation you're working with. So I'm just going to start down here, and I'm going to type in my stopping site distance equation. So SSD equals, when you're defining an equation, the type of equal sign that you want to use, there's a number of equal signs in Mathcad, and we'll get to the different types later on in the course, but for the defining equals, you want to use the colon, so the shift and then colon semicolon button. So then we have 1.47 u times t, so you don't have to necessarily type anything else in. It'll recognize that these are each different things, I believe. But you can also insert operators and such here. So if you wanted to be sure, this dot is the multiplication, so u times t. But it'll automatically recognize this first one because it's between a variable and a constant. So then we're adding, and just to be sure that we may want to put this in parentheses, you can set it up so that you don't necessarily need the parentheses. But to start, we'll set it up this way. So we have u squared on the top, and so to insert an exponent, you just use the caret key, so shift number 6, so u squared, and then this is divided by 30 times a divided by g, and then we have plus our grade, big G. So there's our stopping site distance equation right there. Just to be safe, well, no, we don't really need it, sorry. We'll go with that right there. So it's telling me, and this is something that Mathcad will do, is to tell you when something's undefined. So we don't have anything up here, we haven't defined what u is, so it's telling me that this hasn't been defined yet. Neither of these other ones, but it would move along. So if I just define what u is here and say that it is, and we're using the same type of equals here, so the colon, 35 miles per hour. And so something that Mathcad is really picky about is making sure that your units are prescribed correctly. And so I could type in miles and then miles per hour there, and that's going to recognize that it's miles per hour. But this is saying it's undefined, so variable is undefined, so that's not exactly how miles should be written. So I do know, or I'm pretty sure, that it's mi, and then also hours, not the full hour, so it's hr. If I didn't know, and they'll turn blue when it recognizes that those are actually defined units. But if I didn't know what the units were, I could come up here to units and select them. So up here, like within the math menu, and then over here to the right, units, and I'm set to SI. If we were working in metric, you could change it over to metric, but that excuse me, I could search for miles, so length here, miles, and then further down would be time, so hours here. So if you're not sure of a particular unit, you can come into this menu here and insert it. So we know t is our perception reaction time, so that's going to be 2.5 seconds. So the seconds unit is S. Again, if I didn't know it, I could come up here to the units. Next, A, which is our deceleration rate, is 11.2. The standard deceleration rate is 11.2 feet per second squared. So I can just type in FT for feet. Again, if I didn't know it, I could go to the units menu and then seconds squared. And again, we're using the caret key in order to put an exponent in there. And you notice as we go along, it's finding the next variable that's not known. So first it was A, and then little g generally is a constant that's known by Mathcad, but we could put it in here if we wanted. But it is a gravitational constant, and Mathcad does recognize it. But just to be sure, I'm going to put in g is 32 feet per second squared. And then capital G is our grade, so I'm just going to put in a 2% grade here. And so remember that the equation wants it in decimal format. I'm just going to put in 2% just to put something in, here. And so right now it's telling me that units are not compatible. So it's going to want the units on the 30. So if you remember, this term, this 30 here, is actually two pieces. So it's 2g, but it also incorporates, so 2g being 2 times 32.2, so 64.4, but also incorporates the conversion between miles per hour and seconds squared. So I can just go ahead and pull this out and actually type in 2g, and then we should be all set. So now, if I just type in SSD, so stopping site distance, and hit the equals button, it's going to give me my result. And so it does this in meters. I can go ahead and just change this to feet and hit enter, and it'll automatically update it to feet. So there's my solution. So now, if I wanted to save this, let's say if I insert a text box here and say this is problem 1, I can go ahead and copy all of this, just click and drag over it, Control C, come down here, Control V, set it in again. So we'll change this to problem 2, let's say, for example, and then I can change the speed, 45 miles per hour. I could change my grade to say negative 5%. And you'll notice that the result just updates there. So kind of a quicker method, and hopefully something that you guys can use in this class and your other classes as well. So there's kind of a quick rundown for what I want you to do for homework number 1, which will be due still on Thursday, September 17th.